All right, here we are, another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
And we're off.
And number one rookie is with me, Peter.
I thought it was number two. I thought it was number two.
Yeah, well, you know.
Did I move up?
No, Jesse's got to kind of like get her toe back in the pond, huh?
Well, if she retires, then I'm number one because
Oh.
I saw there was a Miss USA that came in second until the first girl went to Miss Universe, and she goes, "Oh, I got a raise too." And she went to Miss USA, so I could be Mr. USA right now.
So you're telling us we should run our podcast and our whole entire life about what little girls do on a pageant,
especially if it's Jesse retiring from rookie number one.
Okay, well, we'll have that conversation with her. All right, here we go. Episode number 348. My goodness, that came out from nowhere. The title of today's podcast is, Does Personality Really Affect Gargantuan Creative Real Estate Deals?
I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but the reason I'm laughing is that's all I've got. I got no skills. I don't know what I'm doing. I just rely on my charm and personality, and that's fading away with the years.
And he assumes that he has charm and personality.
That's what I'm saying.
He hasn't asked anybody else if they think that. It's just his own conclusion of what he has.
No, a lot of people walk away from me laughing.
Laughing at you or with you?
Well, we don't know, but I'm hoping. But right. No, I'm really laughing because, when you start something and you know nothing, all you got to start with is just your personality and whatever you know and just trying. So it's not, at least it's something, and then you got to learn what you're doing. Right. But if you got a crappy personality and don't know anything, my best condolences to you.
Okay. So here's a description. Let's get on with the podcast.
Here's the real podcast.
Here's the description. So why don't you try twisting your cord in your computer, because there's a little bit of a clicking or something when you're talking.
Really?
Yeah.
These are my hang on. How's it right now?
Yeah, it's still there. Don't worry about it. That's fine. All right, here we go. Here is the description. Why is it that some creative real estate investors make way more money than others? Or why are some multi-millionaires while others are not? Kind of confusing, right? Is it resources? IQ? The way they learn? Perhaps who they learn from? You will be surprised to know all of these could be and likely are true, but the underlying truth is their personality. How they conduct themselves, why they think the way they do, why they build and control their environments, or that should be how they build and control their environments. The way they talk to sellers and buyers are all from their unique personality. But today, in this very special podcast, we're going to reveal what these 7 common personality traits are so you can adapt them easily and start becoming as successful as these millionaires. And as you listen, we'll realize how simple you can make little changes in your life and gain immediate success in creative real estate, making more deals and getting that freedom you have yearned for. So sit back, listen, take notes, and enjoy today. Okay, so first we do a little bit of housekeeping. So we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, Eastern Standard Time. When we record it, we do a live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So you can go there 9:30 Eastern Time on any Thursday morning, and you could be part of the podcast if you so wish. We like I said, we stream it on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So if you go to any one of those platforms, you type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, you will find us. Also, wherever you're listening to us or watching us, you should subscribe to us and like us or dislike us, whichever way you feel. Leave us a review. That's our report card. We spend about 5 or 6 hours a week creating this podcast between Peter and I, and it is a free podcast. It's voluntary work for us, and believe me when I tell you, some weeks it's not so easy to squeeze in the podcast because we have too many other big money things going on, but we managed to do it for 348 weeks now, which is 6.5 years. So please be courteous and leave us a review. I mean, it takes you less than 5 minutes to leave us a review for all the work that we put in for you to help you. Okay. Lastly, there is a link in the description. My goodness, my throat is horrible today. There's a link in the description, so make sure you go click on it because there's always something cool and special in there for you. So with that said, here we go, Peter. You ready?
I'm ready. Take another sip of tea and off we go.
Get my throat ready. Personality. What is it? That has to be a Bill start, right? What is it?
Oh, yeah.
This is often referred to as individual differences in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, behaving, attitudes, that's the big one, and opinions that is most clearly expressed in interaction with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. I don't know where the hell I came up with that, but that's a pretty damn good definition.
Well, where did you get that?
Out of my head.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know. I wrote this a few weeks ago.
Oh.
So
No, because sometimes you'll pull a definition to be official, and sometimes just
yeah,
from
no,
experience. I'm just curious.
This is not. So I'll read it again. Personality, what is it? This is often referred to as individual differences in characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, behaving, attitudes, and opinions that is most largely expressed in interaction with other people.
Mm.
So this would mean to me there could be different behavioral characteristics in different environments, right?
Oh, absolutely different. Oh, absolutely. Unfortunately, or fortunately, yeah.
So let me explain. You could have one, we'll just break it down to two basic ones. You could have one that could be in a social environment,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in other words, now I want you to get this concept because this is a little bit profound, but if it's simple, but if you look at it, you'll understand very clearly a lot of situations in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a social personality, what I'm trying to say here is that personality is developed by the environment.
Mm.
It's induced or implanted into you by the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just tell you the other one, and I'll give you a couple examples, okay?
Yeah.
I don't have them written down, but I can give you a couple examples.
Mm-hmm.
The other personality is like you, who you are. It's the long-standing, long-term, real personality. It's like the personality you have when you wake up in the morning and there's nobody around.
Mm.
It's your real personality.
Yeah.
That's you. Okay? So you, when it's you and your personality, you infect or affect the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the difference?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's times when you're with a group of people that you might want to say certain things and do certain things, but maybe you don't, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So like suppose you're at a party and you're a guy trying to impress a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's ever happened before, right? So what personality will you use? You're gonna tip your hat and you're gonna put your best manners forward, I would hope.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna use words and attitudes and behavioral characteristics, right? All these things, your opinions are all going to be your best foot forward. You're going to be on your best behavior. Okay.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, unless she's looking for a bad boy. No, but you're gonna respond best you can to the environment you're in.
Okay. So that's your environment controlling your personality. Now let's do another scenario.
Yeah.
You have a real piece of shit in your family, a real garbage, yucky person that is a naysayer. Everything is negative. Everything is heading towards death. It's all bad, 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 bad. Right? And they influence you because everything you say that's good, they counter it or they oppose it. Right?
Oh yeah. Negative Nancy.
Yeah. Well, it's worse than that, but yeah, you're right. Right? So how is that affecting your personality? You wake up in the morning, you're all cheerful, everything's good. You get up in the morning and you're like, "Good morning, Mom. What's so good about it?" Right? And right away, what happens to your emotional level? Does it go up or does it go down?
No, that ain't good. No, that's down. Yeah. So
basically, what I'm trying to say here, way off script. So now we go back to your chronic or your long-term personality. Right? So this personality is like, oh, she's grumpy this morning. I guess I'm going to stay away from her. Because you could sustain the negative.
Yeah.
Because you need to, what we used to always say when I was younger, mind your own business. And what that means is not the way the words, it's a play on words. In other words, think about you and how you're going to handle things.
Yeah.
Right? And make sure that you have the horsepower to plow through all the negative crap.
Right.
So that's a lot of the reasons why I read so much. Is because when I read, man, I'm sorry about my throat. When I read, I get other people's opinions. I get other ideas. I spark my imagination and I let it grow. Right? And it allows me to come outside of my world. And it allows me to get used to something that I might be preparing for.
Yeah.
It allows me to daydream through the reading of how it could be or should be or how I would like to develop it to be.
Yep.
Right? So we both have these, I mean, I shouldn't say we both. We all have these acute and chronic personalities. Right? And you and I both know what you act like when you're alone with your spouse as opposed to how you are with your spouse at a party is much different.
When people are watching. Yeah.
Right. So how about this? A social personality or an antisocial personality. Right? Social being creative and a free thinker.
Yeah.
Antisocial being destructive and think you should be like them or are no ally of theirs. So one of the things that I ran into a very long time ago is this mechanism that's in the mind that most people that use it don't even know it's there. But it's do as I say or you're no ally of mine.
Yeah, people who do that, throw that at you, huh?
They don't say it, but they act it. Right? So, yeah, I was going to say something else there, but I think I'll leave it at that.
Well, they coerce it in a way, one way or the other. We see that in society now. If you don't think the way some people think you should, they think there's something wrong with you. Like, sorry, I've got my opinion. Who says you're right? And if you don't agree, you're wrong instantly, and you can't have a conversation. You're just a horrible person if you don't agree with them. That's pretty coercive. That's
So,
pretty bad.
to your point, everybody has the ability to author their own life.
Author.
Right. Their
Like
own
they
life.
create their own life.
Or write it or generate it or
I know.
author their own
It
life.
almost sounds like you said offer, but author, like you're creating it. Yeah.
Like a writer, an author.
Yeah.
AUTHOR, author.
Yeah.
So author, sorry for my accent. So author your own
No,
life.
it's just computers and microphones and stuff.
Right. So here's my point. The only thing that allows you to live the way you want to live or not live the way you don't want to live is your environment. That's it. You decide you want to buy 4 creative real estate deals a month. The only thing that's going to change that decision is your environment.
Yeah.
Like how many leads you have, what software you use, how you talk to people, how many sellers you need to talk to. All that stuff matters because there's other personalities that you're going to run into.
Yep.
That are exactly what we're talking about, have acute and chronic personalities, and some are social and some are antisocial. So my point is, and we did a podcast on this, and maybe we'll do another one, but it's how you can architect or orchestrate your environment to be what you want it to be. And that took me a long time to learn. I didn't learn that until I was in my mid-50s. That you could actually design your environment to be the way you want it to be. So when you're working, you can have the peaks of your day to think and work. And when you do things like that, you penetrate much further, you get way more done, and it's less distractions, less extra work or developed traffic. There's less everything except doing the work and thinking. But you have to prepare yourself and you have to orchestrate that environment. You have to engineer that environment to be the way you want it to be. Otherwise, nobody else will do it for you. And oh yeah, by the way, a good test is, are you living life or is life living you? Right? And that's kind of like the first 2 examples of a personality. It's like an acute or a social personality is the environment injecting or controlling or suggesting heavily how you should act.
Yep.
That's life living you. Or you could decide, hell, this is my personality. This is how I think. I'm not putting up with that. I'm not letting this person push me around. That's you living life, right? So what you're going to find is a lot of people are the adverse reaction of their environment and don't even know it and don't even think they can change it.
Oh boy, that's you said a mouthful. I mean, I'm thinking of people, no names mentioned, that I know, that it's like you can't, because the economy's like this, the interest rate is like that, the government, all the things that are happening around, as if they have no control. They don't see a way. They don't see how they can manage their own life somehow, whether it's easy or hard, and just do what they need to do. And then maybe they come out of it a little bit and have a win, and then they get banged back a little bit. Then you see the other guy who just forges ahead. Right. I mean, look at all the great people of history. None of them just waltzed into it. They fought through
the interesting thing is that you and I know we could work for 10 months every single day for 5 hours a day, calling leads, talking to hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And then all of a sudden on the 10th month, buy 6 houses, and people will look at, oh my God, you bought 6 houses in 6 months? That's amazing. How did you do that? Well, we called for 10 months.
Yeah, and didn't give up on month 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
But it's funny how we evaluate people. So anyways, so antisocial personality is a bit evil, by the way.
Oh yeah, this isn't antisocial, like not fun at a party. You're talking about anti-society, like, not good at all, bad.
Right, and they have evil intentions. Oh, either they're aware of them or below their awareness. That's the funny thing, is a lot of times it's below their awareness. And the weird thing is the smallest percentage of our population, like the 80-20 rule, right? 80% are good and 20% are bad.
That's
so
funny.
the interest
It's
the
funny.
interest,
It is that ratio, isn't it? Because we've
yeah,
done a lot of stuff. It is a ratio, the 20 to 80. Oh
yeah.
God.
So that means 20% of the troublemakers are making 80% of the trouble.
Yep.
Right.
And we outnumber them.
Right.
Boy, we should take over all the good
All right.
people.
So I got a little off track there. I got distracted. Let's get back to the real creative real estate investing. Right. So after dealing with so many wannabe and successful real estate investors, I think I have completed a list of 7 traits that you can implement and grow your investing career.
Cool.
So let's go over those. So number 1, knowledge. A good investor needs data. Without it, he can sink the ship. I'm not talking about memorizing text from a book, then taking a test to measure your intelligence. No, I'm talking about the ability to observe correctly. Not allowing your feelings, opinions, past experience, especially bad ones, aware or not aware, ideas, imagination, or anything else to influence this data. It has to be pure, in present time, not altered without corruption or contradiction. Information. Now, you and I could be sitting at a table, Peter, and I could take a bottle of water and put it in between us. You're on one side of the table, I'm on the other side of the table.
Yep.
I'm looking at the label, you're looking at the nutritional graph or grid.
Yeah, ingredients, H, O.
Most would think we're looking at a bottle of water and we're seeing the same thing, right? When you're looking at that bottle of water, you can't assume that you know what the label looks like, or I can't assume I know what that nutrition grid looks like. You
That's
can't
right.
see it. You can't assume that. Right?
No, we shouldn't.
Right.
We shouldn't.
Right.
People do.
So I want to back up to the word knowledge and what I mean by knowledge.
Okay.
So what does knowledge mean?
Well, you have to remember it starts from know. And to really know, I mean, there's an ancient Asian philosophy of you don't really know something until you see it yourself or experience it yourself. Now, you can't know everything by yourself. We can't go up to the moon and look at it. So you have to take some things and just like, oh, maybe, hopefully it is that. But when we're talking about knowing, you really got to know by experiencing. That's what you're talking about. Like, do you really know, or did some antisocial person say it and you're repeating it like it's real?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Well, I saw on the news, and you're picking the one you want to hear and you believe in it. We're not talking about belief or opinion. We're talking about knowing. And we could probably use a little bit more of that in the world. What do you know?
So what do you know? There's 2 definitions. The first definition is what most people think. It's facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education, the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. Not what I'm talking about. Definition number 2 is awareness or familiarity gained by experience of a fact or situation.
Yep. Wow.
Awareness or familiarity gained by experience of a fact of a situation. So here's the odd thing. When I say knowledge is your number 1 thing, what I'm talking about is not the subject of creative real estate. It's not how to make deal structures and the scripts and the words and all of that. You do not need that on day 1.
That's good because you're not going to have it on day 1. So day one, don't worry. What do we need on day one, Bill?
What you need is awareness or familiarity gained by the experience of a fact or a situation. So the situation you need experience with is talking to the seller and getting the then once you talk to the seller, you need knowledge of the deal. You need knowledge of the how much, what they're thinking, what is their personality. Are they antisocial and they're just being mean to you? Are they being social? Are they in their acute personality, or are you really in their chronic personality? And this is when I say breaking the social veneer means that you get through the social personality and you get to the real person, like what's really going on. And very many of my interviews, people cry because they break down and they're like, I'm there. I'm where they are. I'm where the pain is, because the pain and the situation is not in the social personality. They're covering it up. You need to penetrate that social personality and get to where they're living.
Like we're not supposed to do that, though.
Yeah. Well, the realtor code says you can't. That's the reason why realtors have so much trouble, because they say they're not supposed to disclose somebody's motivation.
So they don't even want to ask in the first place. It's just like sign here, thank you very much, right?
They could lose their license if they do.
So it's better that they don't even ask.
Right.
Wow.
They could lose their license if they do, because they are not supposed to reveal the seller or buyer's motivation to the opposite or opposing force or opposing deal.
Yeah.
Person.
They think someone's going to take advantage of it.
So knowledge is this: relax, use your personality, talk to somebody. In episode number 342 and 343, we went over the script. So I have made my final attempt for my final script, and it's exemplary. Exemplar. What is the word I want? It's
good.
Exemplatory. That's the word I want. Right.
Okay.
It's really good. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to get. Oh yeah. By the way, a lead is a one-way communication. A prospect is two-way communication. You do this in the prospect section. Once the lead has proven that they have a house for sale and they're worthy of speaking of, you have a two-way communication so that you can get through the social personality and get to who they really are and find out what they're really feeling, what they're thinking, what their opinions are, their ideas, their imagination, and what's influencing them. What environment do they have that's causing their personality to be in this state? Do you see what I'm saying? What personality do they have? And you need to not inject your opinions in your personality. Like, oh, well, they would never do subject to. Or the most common one, I did the math and they're a perfect subject to person.
Yeah, says you.
Yeah. So you're injecting your opinion, your unsolicited opinion onto the seller without knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be objective, kind of like a social worker, right? Kind of like a person that would what am I trying to say here? Would counsel you, like a counselor or a coach.
Well, it's like a friend. It's like when you talk to your friend, you go, I gotta sell this house because,
right.
And he's afraid if he tells somebody that, they take advantage. But when we find out what they're really trying to do, we find the right deal to associate with their problems.
Whether it's good for us or not. Whether it's good for us or not. And if it's not good for us, we tell them where to go and how to get it.
Yeah, then we don't do it. But if you don't find what works for them, they're not going to talk to us anymore. And that's the only reason we're asking. Well, we could structure it this way.
Right.
So this happens and that happens. Will that work for you? Oh, yeah, that'd be great. That's all we're trying to do.
Right.
It's not just a number. How much?
So knowledge is all the things we just talked about in the last few minutes. It's like, it's not knowledge of the subject. It's knowledge of the situation, right? It's awareness or familiarity gained. So now you're aware and you're familiar with the situation and the facts in the situation, right?
Hey, Bill, I just thought of an interesting analogy. This is just my crazy head going. When you have like that first definition or the knowledge about real estate and all the things we learn, we talk about for many podcasts, you read in many books, all this stuff, you have a ton of data, and you get a person on the other end of the phone. It's like having a menu in front of you. You go, God, what should I offer from the menu? But what do you do when you have a menu? The waiter comes up and says, "What do you want?" And you go down the menu, you pick what you want,
Peter.
and you tell him, and you
That's
go,
a really good
"Isn't that
analogy,
interesting?"
Peter. Yeah.
Some menus are like so damn big. Can you imagine the waitress coming over and going, "So you want eggs? No. Do you want hamburger? No. Well, how about souvlaki? No, I don't want souvlaki. Damn it.
That's
How about if you just
that's
right?
a really
Isn't
good
that crazy?
analogy, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah. And they ask it, and they go, like, "What do you have?" That's all
Right.
they do. How many people do? What do you have?
Right.
How many people say, "How much do you want for your house?"
Right.
Is that the best you can do? Gee, I don't know. Can you do any better?
Right.
And have them come up with numbers instead of us. Well, I think I'm going to offer this. And I swear some people that we know are still doing that. And
Right.
it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the person talking to you. You're talking, it's like the waitress going, "You sure you don't want pizza tonight?"
Yeah, right. Or
Holy crap.
it's 6 o'clock in the morning and they're saying, "You want pizza instead of eggs?" You know?
Yeah, only if it's cold and from 2 nights ago.
So this is a major factor when analyzing the deals. And by the way, the deals, I realized this the other day. When I say the deals,
Mhm.
it's perceived as the wrong definition. Because the deal, well, let me ask you this. I'm going to test you. I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the deal? What does it mean when I say the deal?
Well, do you mean the deal with the real estate, or you mean talk about what's the deal, like
No,
what's going on?
No, with real estate, like it's the deal that, like, I have a deal. What does that
Well,
mean?
if you say you have a deal, to me, it's you found what the person wants to do or needs to do,
Right.
and you found something that will connect to them that they'll agree to in a
Right.
two-way conversation where you both agree, both, not just
As
you.
opposed, good job, Peter. As
Except the
opposed to
numbers, hey, the numbers fit, Bill.
right. As opposed to the numbers, because most people think real estate deals are the numbers.
Yeah.
So you say I have a real estate deal. That means it's the numbers, or I need help with a real estate deal. It's the numbers. It's not the numbers, it's the personality.
Well, is it possible that there's three parts to it? Like, many things are go in threes. Could it be like the numbers have to work for both parties? The house has to actually be something that will work for everybody. And the person themselves, the person's situation and their problem, that has to work too. Is that
Absolutely.
is that realistic?
That's what I'm trying to bring to light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
So
those
the knowledge is the situation. Now I'm going to rattle something off here, but I got to move on because we're way behind schedule. Okay.
okay.
Listen to me. The reason why somebody is selling a house is because they have a situation.
Mm-hmm.
A situation means there's a departure from what they really want.
Yep.
Do you know what makes situations?
Yes.
What?
You
I
told
bet
me
you.
we were
I bet
told
you.
we were talking the
Oh,
other day. So let me try this. Many out points.
right. That's right. So if you have an out point is an illogical or not calculated, it can't work. It's illogic means 2 plus 3 equals 4. Wait a minute. No. 2 plus 2 equals 4. No. 2 plus 3 equals 4.
Yeah.
And there's a conclusion. 2 plus 3 equals 4. There's too many of those illogics to add up to the out points. So when when you're looking at this information, your radar, like what is that? What is it? Is it called a Geiger counter? I might have that wrong. The stick that finds water. What is that called? The
Oh,
Indians.
jeez, blah.
But a Geiger counter is for like radiation.
Radioactivity.
Yeah, same type thing. So you have this little tool like a metal detector, and you're waving it over the data the person's giving you. And all of a sudden there's an out point, and there's an out point, and there's an out point, and you start adding them up, and you're like, oh my God, here's the situation.
Yeah.
And the out points come from the data. It comes from the illogical data. We're taught to think with logical data. We're not taught to think with illogical data. So when you start looking at the illogical data, you'll start to see. And it took me 25 years to figure that out. That's what makes me different. That's why when I'm talking to somebody on the phone, I'm not looking for the logical data. I'm actually spotting inherently the illogical data, and I hone in on that because that's where the situation is.
Yeah.
Because a situation is a departure from what they really want.
Yep.
And they're not getting it. So there's underneath the situation, there's this fact, and there's that fact, and there's this illogic, and there's that illogic, and there's this illogic and that illogic, and it adds up to a situation or a scene. It adds up to their current scene. That's the knowledge I'm talking about. It's a little profound here, but.
Well, can I give a 30-second example to make it more tangible?
Sure.
Talking to a guy on the phone, he's got foreclosure notices coming, and he couldn't get refinanced. He stopped paying, and he didn't put the money aside for the mortgage while he wasn't paying, doing research, spent it. Now he's tens of thousands behind, and hopes. I said, so what are you going to do when you get out of the house? Well, I hope to buy another house. He can't get, he has no credit to finance the house he's in. He has no credit to refinance anything.
Right, so
he's buying another house.
All right. So based on what you just told me, here's what I think. Here, so illogic. I start at the bottom, illogic, and I get up to the situation. To me, the situation is he doesn't know how to manage his money.
Yep.
That's the situation.
Yep.
That's the reason why. And oh yeah, by the way, if you want to find out what's going on, anyhow, we have to move on here so bad. You want to find out why, you want to find out what's going on with somebody, be a 2-year-old kid and say, but why, mommy? Well, because daddy said so. No, but why? Why, mommy? Why did daddy say so? Well, because, he blah, blah. Okay, but why did he, why, mommy? Why, mommy? Why, mommy?
Yeah,
and just keep asking why until you get to the bottom of it. That's knowledge.
Yeah. Because this guy is going to have a situation of no place to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on.
Get an apartment. Yep.
Number 2, patience is next.
Mm-hmm.
As investors, we study real estate crap all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When given the chance, we repeat what we learned in the seminar to our sellers and confuse the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I also call this too steep of a gradient or too much data too fast. It's like the fire hose syndrome.
Yeah.
Right? You got the fire hose, now you're giving it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you don't teach a 3-month-old baby to crap in a toilet, do you?
Nope.
A 10-year-old girl how to kiss boys, do you?
Preferably not.
A young adult losing their hair and their teeth, does that happen?
Hope not.
Everything has a time and place, so it is accepted correctly. Otherwise, it gets brushed off. So I'm going to try to do this in a couple minutes because each one of these points I could do a whole podcast on. You need to find the seller's acceptance level.
Hmm.
You need to figure out once you have the situation and the data. For example, the foreclosed guy, his acceptance level is denial. So you need to start there and work your way up, nudge him up the ladder a little bit.
Yeah.
His personality is stunned. He's in apathy. He's got his head in the sand. He's done. You need to nudge him up a little bit so his awareness can change. And you
Yep.
need patience to do that. You need patience to do that.
Got it.
Right? Let me go back because I had another second thought that I had here, and I want to make sure I don't lose it.
Yeah, I tried with that guy. I gave him little homework steps to do. Call the bank and see if you can get a loan. Call the bank, see if you can get a mortgage. Try this, try that, just so he would understand his situation. Like,
so I have an idea. I have a suggestion for this one for our listeners.
Patience.
No, yeah, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
You read a book about real estate. You go to a seminar about real estate. You watch a video about real estate. You get some knowledge about real estate. You should find a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old kid, preferably between the ages of 9 and 13. And you should explain to that child what you just learned.
At their level, though, in English, they couldn't understand.
No.
Oh, just explain, just tell what you. Oh, so they won't get it.
And then you'll have to change your words to your point, so that it's not that it's so they understand.
Yeah.
It's so you understand how to handle the acceptance level of that child. It's it's a drill on you handling the acceptance level. It's not it's not that you need to dumb down your information. It's that you need to be observant enough. The number one, you need to have enough knowledge and pay attention and observed of how that person is receiving your communication, and adjust your communication so it's in their acceptance level.
Yep.
It sounds complicated. We're spending a lot of time on it, and I'm emphasizing things here, but this is where you need to have patience.
Okay? Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, let's move on to number 3. Now, you guys may not think this is important, but I'm telling you, these are the things that millionaires do. Vision. Vision. So, let me just read my notes here, so I could do this without having to read this. So this has many facets. So vision, I'm going to cover them quickly. So vision has a couple points to it. So the first thing you got to have is you're going to have your vision. What is your ideal scene and purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? Because you're going to decide on your deals based on that. A quick example. I just told this story the other day. I don't know if it was here on a podcast or if it was to somebody else. But it was one of my coaches. Vision. So I just had a deal that I'm selling. It's a $190,000 house, and I had three prospects. One person was going to give me 20% down, which was $34,000. Another person was going to give me $12,000 down. I was asking for $12,000 down. The rent is $1,675. So the first person wanted to pay I was asking $190. He wanted to pay $150. We settled on $170. So he wanted to pay $170 and give me $34,000 down.
Okay.
The second guy wanted to pay $190 and give me $12,000 down and $1,675 a month. The third person wanted to give me $7,000 down. I need $12. And pay me $1,883 a month, which was $1,675 and $208 a month for. Now, which one would you take? I don't know, because you have to align it to your goals and your passion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your purpose, not your passion. Your goals and your purpose. Me, I'm 59 years old. I want the income. I took the third one. I took the $7,000 down and the $1,883 a month, because now it makes like $800 or $700 a month. Now, somebody that needs cash would take the $170 and take $34,000 because they need cash. Okay, so having a goal, a vision, and a purpose will align the deals. Now that you have that goal and that purpose and that vision, here's what you need to do is you need to talk to your buyers and your sellers, mostly your sellers, and get them to align to your vision. You need to get them to understand your vision. Or more importantly, when you're giving offers, you also need to, in the conversation, paint them pictures so they can see the outcome for them. And it's an alignment with your pictures. So your pictures, their pictures, the buyer's pictures, all align. What does everybody want? What is everybody looking at? What are they expecting to get from this transaction? What kind of lifestyle do they want? What situation are they trying to solve? What outpoints and what illogical information is in their head that's causing them to act and get these and do these transactions? Now, it sounds all complicated in the theory, but when you're talking to somebody, it's very easy. In fact, my scripts, which we talked about in episode number 342 and 343, do all this for you. So I'm just talking about the theory right now. You don't have to get that complicated. I'm just trying to make you understand why it's important, why those scripts are so important. They're not just things that I just wrote down. These are coming from this knowledge I have, this experience, right?
Yeah, and this is different because it's creative real estate. This isn't TV flipping houses,
right?
That kind of stuff.
I'm going to tell you, before we move on, I'm going to tell you a shocking fact. Most people, when I say most, I'm going to say if it's not in the 80 percentile, it's damn close to 90% of all people do not have an imagination or have a very limited imagination. And I figured this out when I started selling houses, and I would have realtors, and I'm not going to tell the stories now. I should, but I can't because we don't have time. I would have realtors come in. I would have buyers come in. Like, for example, I had a house one time, and the contractor was finishing up. He had 2 or 3 days left. I hadn't cleaned the house. It was in construction. I mean, it wasn't dirty, but it was just right. And there were little things. He was doing the punch list, the little things. And I could not believe how people badgered that house. What a bad house that is. The contractor finished in 2 days or 3 days. I sent a cleaning crew in there for $300. That's all I did. I did nothing else. And I sent the same people in, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how you changed that house." No imagination.
Yeah, but
people
the funniest
do
story.
not have imagination.
The funniest story is when you change the light bulbs in one of your house to high wattage. That's even funnier because the house was kind of dark. You put bright lights. Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah.
No imagination.
I went from bad reviews with a realtor to flaming excellent reviews because I changed the wattage of the light bulbs.
Yeah.
All right. So that's good for that. So that's good for number 3. So vision is first, have your vision of what you want and and your purposes so you can align your deals to that. And then secondly, use that vision to align with your sellers on what you're going to give them and how you can help them. Because the most important thing you could do is get their visions first. You ask them, what do you want? And then you get theirs first, and then you align yours to it, and it's either it works or it doesn't. You always know what yours is. So what you're doing is you're fishing for their vision to see if it aligns with yours.
Yep.
4. Now, efficiency, which to me is another way of saying you are not dispersed, which means having scattered random thoughts and they're not organized.
Yeah.
So dispersed is unorganized thoughts or random thoughts.
Yep.
Okay. Here's what I do to check the sanity or ability for my seller to think. A, look at their physical surroundings if I can. Usually we're in the house. If it is nice and neat, you'll find their thoughts are organized and able. Some guy just wrote a book about a year ago. I forgot the name, his name, but it was Make the Bed. And he was a military guy, and the whole book was about getting up in the morning if you made your bed or not, because that mean that talked about your regiment, right? If the physical surroundings are messy and cluttered, you will find their thoughts and their ideas will be the same way, dispersed.
Sure.
The second thing, which is very, very, very important, it sounds too simple, but it's very, very, very important. The amount of time it takes to answer your question.
Oh, hell yeah. And notice if he does or not just say words. Did he really answer or just say something else?
Right. So let's do that, Peter. So is your house for sale, Peter?
Who is this, please?
My name is Bill. Is your house for sale?
How'd you get my name?
I got your name from a listing online. Is your house for sale?
If the price is right.
Okay.
Sorry. This is too much fun.
So we'll get to that in a minute. Is your house for sale?
Oh yeah.
See, that's all a lag. He didn't answer the question. Now let's do it again, Peter. Okay. Sure. Is your house the way you just did it?
Okay. The way do it the wrong way again?
Yeah, do it the way you just did it. Is your house for sale?
Who is this?
My name is Bill, and I go off on a tangent explaining myself.
Yeah.
And I don't come back and ask, is the house for sale?
Yeah.
They distracted me.
Yeah.
With their comments. They intentionally distracted me. This is where most people fail.
Yep.
Because they don't come back. If you notice, he said, let's do it again. Is your house for sale?
Who is this?
My name is Bill. Okay. Do it again. Is your house for sale?
Yeah. Oh, no, who is this? I'm sorry.
You just did that. So,
yeah.
Is your house for sale?
You want me? I'm sorry.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Is your house for sale?
Who is this?
My name is Bill. Is your house for sale?
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah. So my point is that I wanted you to do a couple more. I got you confused.
Yeah, but I think I get the point. I think people get the point that not to get distracted and just do what they got to do and don't get
the point that I'm trying to make is I acknowledged you. And then I asked the question again. I didn't acknowledge you with all I did is my name is Bill. I just acknowledged him enough that we can move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So a slow answer tells me the mind is blunted, at least on that subject. Dispersed, troubled, possibly has trouble solving problems under this subject.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
A fast answer tells me I'm dealing with a fast, sane mind that's ready to solve problems on this subject. Your ability to collect and sort data is a direct gauge of your success as far as I am concerned. I find the poor investor often thinks his ideas and opinions are right and has not humbled to this efficient way of observing and effectively collecting facts to make major decisions yet.
Yep.
I'm going to leave that. Next up is number 5. Is focus.
Yep.
This, as far as I'm concerned, is the most important. The hardest to teach and most misunderstood in any activity is teaching somebody to focus. Now, this goes back to the first one, the personality, where we were not the first one, but we were talking about the personality, right? So if your environment, if your environment is controlling you, will you be able to focus on your goals and purposes?
Right.
No, because your life is living you. Your life keeps throwing this distractions and it keeps throwing these barriers and these obstacles and these take your attention away from your goals and your purposes. Right? You're not focused. And I promise you, this is not hard to do. All you need to do is have a goal and believe it. That's the hard part, and believe it. Like, I'm going to buy 2 houses this month. You have a goal, and you need to believe it and knock out all the noise. Knock out, as Dan Kennedy says, the time vampires that are sucking up your time. Knock out all of the distractions. And the only decisions you should make are, is this, if I make this decision, is it going to forward my goal and my purpose?
Yeah.
Or is it going to distract me? And not allow the distractions in your life. You need to be the author of your own book. When you lay down to rest and they come to mourn for you, you need to ask yourself, did you do everything you wanted? Did the book end the way you wanted it to end? Or
did you write regrets? Did you write your own book?
Right. I have a friend that I met at a party. I was at my sister's house, and I met one of her friends, is what I meant to say. Mm-hmm. And she worked for hospice. Now, hospice is where most people are. It's a hospital that takes care of people that are on their dying bed. They make sure they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. And she said, by far, the number one thing she hears from her patients before they die is, I wish I would have. I wish I would have spent more time with my daughter. I wish I would have bought that house. I wish I would have. I wish I would have.
Yeah, boy.
Right?
Yeah.
Intention. Intention. Which is soul, absolute, pure determination, no matter what happens, to get what you want. Intention is, I'm gonna ask Peter if his house is for sale, and no matter what he says, I'm gonna get the answer of yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Intention.
Yeah.
And attention.
Mm.
So intention works best when I have attention from the person.
Well, you also have to pay. Go ahead, finish.
Which is the reason why when I talk to somebody, I say, do you have a few minutes to chat about the house? Because I want their attention, because my intention is not going to work until I have their attention.
Yeah. I think you also have to pay attention to things like, is he answering me or just distracting me? Should I not bother with that? Should I put that aside? Right. And notice, people don't even notice they're not being answered.
Right.
They don't even notice. You have to pay attention to notice and just stay on target.
Which is where I'm going to go next, and we're going to end off there. It's one thing to wish it. It's a whole other thing to be willing to die for it.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to notice every impulse you have is heading in a certain predetermined direction that you intended to do, mm-hmm. The command factor for every decision is aiming towards this goal, and everything happens the way you desire it to, your intention is in. If not, your intention is out, and you have distractions knocking you off. This is like a high wire between two cliffs.
Mm.
Did you get across, or did you fall?
Yeah.
Right? And we'll make deals no one else will make when you're like this. It's you. It's not the environment. It's not the seller. It's not anything other than you. Right?
Yeah.
In other words, there is an absolute no doubt it's going to happen, and you'll throw your life down to get it. Not physically, but you'll throw down anything. There's no cost too high for you to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last and not least, my favorite is leverage. Leverage, as I am using it in these terms means using something or someone to maximize potential advantage. The things you leverage most in creative real estate are money, relationships, and opportunity. To do anything on a large or larger scale, you'll need to master leverage. When I say relationships, you're the boss and you have an employee. I own an auto repair shop and I have a mechanic working for me. I have leverage. So does he. He has leverage because I'm paying him. He doesn't have to do all the business stuff. All he has to do is fix cars because that's what he's good at. He's got leverage too. I'm not taking advantage of somebody, right? So leverage is huge. Leverage is when I tell you the day you buy a house, you should have equity in it.
Right.
Right? Relationships, by the way, when you're doing relationships, that means the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or in a state of being connected. Okay, so relationship is a way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or in a state of being connected, staying connected. Right? And we need to end off, but to state this quickly, in my software company, which is called Creative REI Replay, which we do all this automated for you, right? I have checklists. So what happens is you go into Creative REI Replay, your leads are put in the system for you. They're connected to the system, to the right campaigns. They text you. You ask them only one question. You only have one intention. This is what I'm talking about. You have one intention with a text, is to make them an offer by phone. So the only intention, so they say, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I have your offer ready. You ready to speak? Okay, I have your offer ready. Are you ready to speak? And you just keep saying that until they either leave or get on the phone with you. Once you do that, we have a calculator. And the calculator tells you which deal to do. And then we do the paperwork for you. We pre-populate all the paperwork, right? And then you get a memorandum. Now watch this. This is the amazing thing that's in this system that not enough people talk about. Once you get a memorandum signed, which is simple with the system, once you get a memorandum signed, you now need to know how to do the deal. So you go into our training portal, and every one of my deals, all 7 of my deals, actually there's only 6 there because we don't do rehabbing in there. All 6 of the deals, there's a checklist there. So once you get a slot deal, which is a sandwich lease option transfer, a sandwich lease option transfer, which is pretty much like wholesaling lease options, right? Once you get a slot deal, sign the memorandum, you go into the system and you pull the checklist on how to do an option deal. Now, here's the point of me telling you this. So many rookies are worried about being certain. They say, Bill, you sound certain when you're on the phone. You're so certain. That's why you make deals. Well, I fixed that. And the way I fixed that is because the definition of certainty is knowing the details of what's going to happen and forewarn the seller before it happens. So when you have these checklists, you go over it with the seller. Okay, now we signed the memorandum. The next thing we need to do is this. And then after that, we're going to do that. And after that, we're going to do this. It builds certainty instantly. And then you build trust by making sure your words match your actions. So when you say we're going to do this first, you do it. And then when they say we're going to do this second, you do it. And when you say we're going to do this third, you do it. And these checklists are probably 15, 20, checks down the list. By the time you get to the third one, you've made your best friend, and they will have certainty in you, and they will trust you, and you can't hardly do anything wrong after that.
You know what's crazy about that? It's the opposite of the definition of anxiety.
Yep.
Not knowing what's going to happen next. Like, what if the seller, when I get to this step, changes his mind? Or what if? Once you have that, you've gone over everything, so you know what's going to happen. They've agreed to do this, that, and the other, next. You don't really have to worry about it. I mean, anything can stop at any time. Life is life, but you've set it up so that it's covered, and you don't have to worry. Like, what if?
Right.
You've done it. You've done everything you can. There it is.
So what I've done on creative real estate, creative REI reply, is I trumped or removed all of that. And I promise you, I got some stuff, which I got some ideas in my mind that once I get the boys to agree to them, and they're not hard to do because I figured out, I had somebody show me how to do it. Mm-hmm. Once I figure it out, I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to blow the lid off creative real estate. Blow the lid off like nobody else has ever done. And if you think what we got now is amazing, that was just the pre-show. You know, like, what do they call it in a concert?
It's the warm-up band.
The warm-up band. There you go.
It's the warm-up act.
The warm-up act, yeah.
That's just the warm-up.
So thank you for listening to us. That's the conclusion of episode number 348. I hope I didn't get too profound for you. I hope it helps. If you kind of noticed, I started with like the scripts, and I did some marketing stuff, and now I'm like on to like why the script works so well with personality. So it's a little kind of like a little, not intentionally, but like a little series here, right? So Make sure you start at episode number 342 and work your way forward, and you will find that each podcast is building on one another. Okay. Also, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you hit the like button. If you have questions, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to the support question, or you can go on WhatsApp Messenger and you can get into our group. It's called Let's Talk Real Estate. The support tickets I answer personally. The WhatsApp Messenger are for a group. There's a few hundred people in there, and we all help one another. Okay. So until episode number 349, you have a good week and flourish and prosper. Thanks for listening.